We all can acknowledge that he's not the best coach in America, but desperation from universities that really want to win are willing to make him the highest paid coach in America, because there is no clear-cut second, and it feels like, while you may think the coaching pool is attractive, Penn State struck out on a bunch of guys. Guys are not leaving B-tier jobs to go to A-tier jobs, and he is maybe the closest thing to a slam dunk for those three schools coaching-wise, and whoever doesn't get him may enter a free fall. Lane Kiffin dominated Friday night and Saturday morning, and we have to dig into every step and the three schools that are begging for his services. We are in peak coaching madness season, and Lane Kiffin is the prize, I guess, this year. And so I kind of want to go through the timeline to talk a little bit about what Lane Kiffin has done, I guess, to put himself in the perfect spot. So we got this. This came out yesterday. At about 4:38. Lane Kiffin's decision will be announced Saturday, November 29th, the day after the rivalry game between Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Despite the outside noise, Coach Kiffin is focused on preparing our team for the Egg Bowl, the Ole Miss AD said. Now, I do know that there was the reports of that ultimatum kind of being at play, and this being the first thing after that kind of maybe suggests that maybe it wasn't an ultimatum and that they are going to give him a little bit of time. But this whole saga, and I'll get to it a little bit later, this whole saga just made me thankful that Ohio State does not have to go through a coaching search. And the last one we had was open-close when we went from Urban Meyer to Ryan Day. Then you got this. This came out at 9:55, and this was kind of the real canon in the mix of things. New, LSU is finalizing an offer of roughly $90 million for Ole Miss coach Lane Kiffin. Huge number. That's a huge number to start with for a coach that has never made the playoffs. But whatever. I think Lane Kiffin is a very good coach. I think LSU would need to blow other schools out of the water for Lane Kiffin, and would need to blow Florida out of the water for Lane Kiffin, in large part because I don't trust their athletic department right now. I don't trust kind of, all the cooks in the kitchen, and I worry that the way they treated Brian Kelly might reflect poorly. But that's a huge offer. And then in addition, because, one of the things that Lane Kiffin has always said is the things that make jobs are also like the resources to your staff pool and the resources to your roster. Those two things matter. That's maybe what's kind of has Ole Miss a step behind, I guess, optically in the jobs world. In addition, the Tigers would also be offering roster cash worth around $25 million annually, which is more than the last year's Ohio State roster that was loaded and won the national title. So crazy that all this started coming out, and I'm surprised that Ole Miss thought they could hold this for a week. This is elite from College Sports Only. Yeah, money talks. Welcome to Baton Rouge. And so then then we get more. And then, because here we go, the other school in the mix here is Florida. Florida wants in on Lane Kiffin, obviously, and that's where I thought they were going to go. And this was at 12:04 a.m. Florida, LSU, and Ole Miss are set to offer Lane Kiffin in the $13 million per year range. So if we do, I guess, some quick math, we could do it right here. Let's see, 90 divided by 13. So it's about a 7-year deal for $13 million a year is kind of the thought, which is huge. And that's a huge step if you're Ole Miss and if you're Florida, because obviously trying to spend with one of the schools that has one of the billionaire boosters that actually loves the sport, similar to Phil Knight, and he's younger, it's going to be a kind of a tougher uphill climb. Now the question's going to be, okay, what would Florida and Ole Miss be willing to offer you in terms of roster construction? Because we know that LSU is going to offer the $25 million a year, I guess, reportedly. Then you got Pete Nakos. This was this morning at 8:06. Florida, LSU, and Ole Miss are all prepared to offer at least $25 million in NIL roster investment for Lane Kiffin. So the initial offer from LSU that kind of broke the internet last night was, we can offer you the biggest, the largest, been stepping on shit, whatever, of everybody, and that was supposed to be like their big trump card. That report comes out from LSU camps to be the trump card, but what or honestly, it probably comes out from Lane Kiffin's agent. Huh. I did pause there, and I'm going to get you back to my thought process. Make sure you like and subscribe. We are over 4,200 subs. We are doing a watch party for the game with me and Ron. Would love to see you guys there. But again, hit that like button, hit that sub button, and continue to leave comments. It really helps us, and we greatly appreciate you guys. I don't know who it comes out from. I'd have to give it some more thought. Because, like, if you're LSU, you'd rather him, like, you don't want kind of any public pushback. You'd want him to accept the job, and then those details kind of come out later. Unless you're worried, if you're LSU, that he'll go somewhere else, and you still want to be really attractive for the next coach or circle back. Just trying to think of the chess move here. Like, who benefits from the numbers coming out? Really, the person that benefits is Lane Kiffin, right? Because now, if he leaves Ole Miss, okay. If he leaves Ole Miss to go to LSU after that comes out, no one's going to blame him, right? And if he doesn't take the Florida job because he goes to LSU for that, no one's going to blame him. And it's also like a tool in negotiation. But also, if these three schools are willing to offer this much for Lane Kiffin, other coaches might be really attracted to go there as well. Okay, no, this is good. This is good. Florida, LSU, and Ole Miss are all prepared to offer at least $25 million in NIL roster investment for Lane Kiffin. And maybe it comes down to, I guess, who do you believe the most? And then we had the hate side of it, right? Because how did Lane Kiffin become the prize? Like, is Lane Kiffin worth this much? Because this is honestly like an offer that would attract someone like Urban Meyer out of retirement, someone that would attract someone like, Nick Saban out of retirement. I mean, I guess I don't think Nick or Urban would ever come out of retirement, but I do think that if you were going to put a job in front of him to get him out, it would have to be this kind of sweetheart deal, which is nuts. To put this into perspective, the difference between Heupel and Kiffin in the last 5 years is 5 wins. It's funny because this was supposed to be used as a diss to Lane Kiffin, but that is actually not it at all. 1 extra win per year is the difference between playoffs and not playoffs, but neither of them would. No, Heupel's made the playoffs. Lane Kiffin is not. So, and then I got this. From Blaine, and I don't know if I stand alone on this or if people kind of echo my sentiment with this, but obviously this is Blaine Crane from Crane & Company reacting to the news that this came out. And so he said, if this is real, I don't want to hear another word about players not being loyal. Your head coach is in the middle of negotiating with LSU the week of a rivalry game and right before the playoff push. Miss me with the lectures. Okay, so it's a bye week in the SEC because that's what they do right now. But I don't think this was needed. I don't think anybody says anything right now about coaches being loyal. That's the equivalent of that's not a thing that people talk about anymore. Everybody knows that these coaches and these players are not going to be loyal. We're kind of past that phase of college football. Now that might be for the college football fans 5-10 years ago. But the loyalty days are over across the sport. No one's talking about that anymore. No one faults a player for leaving for the portal for a huge pay raise to change their life. Nobody does. So it's just a lot. I feel like this is something that it's a good way to get a viral tweet, but also no one's gonna fault Lane Kiffin for leaving Ole Miss to go to LSU the same way nobody faulted Mendoza from going from Cal to Indiana to play quarterback. No one faults these kids for that anymore. No one faulted Sam Levet from going to Michigan State to Arizona State. People don't fault anybody. No one even faults Cale Downs. People do not fault these athletes for bettering their lives. And so the whole loyalty thing, that I think that's that's a subject that died a while ago. And then Will Compton. I thought this was good. What's said on this app stays on this app. We can't let this get out until Lane Kiffin announces after the Egg Bowl. Now, look, he's not announcing until after the Egg Bowl, but he's giving everybody. He's turned this into pageantry, which is good. I love pageantry. This is it's like recruiting, high school football recruiting. These are all the offers. I like transparency. These are all the offers. And then after the Egg Bowl, I will make a decision. That's what everybody always said, that there will not be a decision until after the Egg Bowl. People didn't say that there wouldn't be details about each of these contracts till after the Egg Bowl, because obviously access is everything and being first is everything. And now this is all out in the open, and we get our first case of like coach pageantry. We are going to get a press conference where he's telling everybody where he's intending to go, but we will also get a Dellinger report before that, I'm sure. Now, here is the Ross Dellinger article. LSU officials are mobilizing around a heightened pursuit of Lane Kiffin. University executives, and this was 10 p.m. University executives and athletic administrators are finalizing terms of a multi-million-dollar contract proposal seeking a commitment from the Ole Miss coach within the next week. Okay, so they want it within the next week, but Lane Kiffin wants to wait until after the next week. However, the coach's true intent remains a mystery, even those closest to him, as he decides between staying in Oxford or leaving for... However, the coach's true intent remains a mystery, even to those close to him, as he decides between staying in Oxford or leaving for open jobs at LSU or at Florida. A meeting with Kiffin, Ole Miss Athletic Director Keith Carter, and University Chancellor Glenn Boyce on Friday afternoon produced a no resolution about his future. A meeting amongst Kiffin, Ole Miss Athletic Director, and Keith Carter, and University Chancellor Glenn Boyce on Friday afternoon produced no resolution about his future, according to a statement from Carter. Carter revealed that an announcement on Kiffin would be made after next Saturday, after Ole Miss meets Mississippi State in the annual Egg Bowl. Meanwhile, in Baton Rouge, key LSU decision makers are gearing up for a formal offer to the coach and his representatives. While specific details of the new contract remain fluid, sources told Yahoo that school executives have discussed a 7-year, at least $90 million deal that would make Kiffin, at very least, tied for the highest paid coach in the sport. The school, as well as promising significant NIL revenue share roster investments exceeding $25 million, perhaps the most important determining factor for the coach. Lane Kiffin is about to do the Kirk Cousins thing. We all can acknowledge that he's not the best coach in America, but desperation from universities that really want to win are willing to make him the highest paid coach in America, because there is no clear-cut second, and it feels like while you may think the coaching pool is attractive, Penn State struck out on a bunch of guys. Guys are not leaving B-tier jobs to go to A-tier jobs, and he is maybe the closest thing to a slam dunk for those three schools coaching-wise, and whoever doesn't get him may enter a free fall. Where do you think Lane Kiffin goes? Let me know. Continue to like and sub. Drop me content ideas too. I'll be doing a bunch of stuff this week, but I wanted to get this out before college football started today, as this will be the story, I guess, over the next 48 hours to a week.